Thank y'all for watching. Before we get this thing started, let me tell you, we just recorded this, and I let a few cuss words fly. So
A few
Yeah.
it was bad. I'm sorry.
Parental, what is it?
parental advisory.
If
Yeah.
if it's gonna offend you, I dropped some big bombs. Just wait till the next one. But
Yeah.
anyway, we had a long day. Thank y'all for watching. I can't see the screen on that camera, but y'all holler if it turns off or something.
All right.
Well, hello there, and welcome to another Archeryshack Shop Talk. This is number 140. You got me, Jeremy?
I'm TJ.
I'm Bobby.
Wow. I just got to tell y'all, we are happy to have Bobby with us because he was in a very bad car crash this week. You heard about it if you were on our live show. I'm going to pop up a picture of his car. The Subaru is down, folks. Subaru's down.
Yep.
He's talking about getting another Subaru. I'm running over my cord. So I guess we can talk today about some stories from the busy season. Our hunting season here started Thursday, right? Yeah, Thursday. Today's Saturday when we're recording this, and we got some great stories. Some we, of course, won't tell because I don't want people to get mad at us, but
Yeah.
we'll come up with a few. But first, let's talk about the car crash. I get a call about 7:45 Wednesday morning. And I thought last week I had the poops. I gave the poops to TJ
Yep.
Tuesday, so I'm figuring Bobby's got the poops. And he called me, which is not normal, so I knew something was up. And I was like, he's having a blowout.
Mm-hmm.
But it turns out, as I was about to say, you got the stomach bug, he said, I've crashed, head-on collision. And I was like, oh, God. So a man hit you. He fell asleep.
He fell asleep at the wheel. I ran into the ditch trying to avoid him. I was doing 45 when I hit the ditch, and he still hit me doing well over 45.
That's crazy.
Yep.
When I'll put the picture up, but it is no joke. It's a wonder Bobby he's hurt. Don't get me wrong. I've seen him. He's hurt. But like it's a wonder you ain't in the hospital still or
It
alive
is.
or you know what I
Yeah.
mean.
And fortunately, my son was safe, and that was my main concern because he was in the car with me.
Man,
Mm-hmm.
it sucks. I hadn't had a good wreck in a while.
Yeah. Knock
but-
on some wood.
But man, that just sucks. But anyway, we're glad Bobby he's okay, but he's hurting.
Mm-hmm.
But so we had that happen. We had the stomach bug at the worst possible time, like a couple days before hunting season started. We blowing it out. We got people in the bathroom, people out back in the woods, people in buckets. No, I'm kidding. But this week was weird because like it was busy, then it kind of wasn't busy for a couple days, and then Saturday I thought everybody'd be hunting. It's been busy, like 3 bows got sold or whatever. So
Yeah.
let's think up some good stories to tell them. Lord.
There's a bunch.
Actually, you know what? I think I have a couple I put in my phone because I'm awful like on the spot remembering some of this stuff.
I put some, but I think most of the ones I've got were from last year.
Let me see what I got. Any come to mind, Bobby?
I'm trying to think of any.
So much stuff happens. It's almost like it don't even register. Where's it at? Y'all can only imagine.
Oh man.
Where is it at?
The derailment.
I fixed 2 derails yesterday.
Well, you took it in, I think. A guy called just a while ago and said, I see it up there. I let my brother pull my Matthews bow, and I don't remember if he dry fired it or derailed it or both or whatever. Was the cam jacked up?
Cam's jacked up. He's got to get a cam off eBay.
I swear I made a list, and now I can't find it.
Me too. I think I've went through every one I've got on here before.
I'll tell you what, I videoed this today. A guy bought a bow and had it set up at a box store, and he brought it in, and the arrow was up at like a 40-degree angle. I mean, it was crazy. And he was like, I can't get my shot low enough or whatever, or high enough, whatever. And I put it on the thing. Actually, I'll try to, since that was today, I'll try to I took a picture. I'll put a picture of it in here, but it was quite sketchy. But that's just like normal stuff. Whisker biscuits on backwards.
Yep.
All that.
One bow come in, it was derailed. Put it back on, checked everything out. Everything was good. Flipped the peep sight and told the customer, like, man, I said that I fixed your peep sight. It was completely backwards. And he was like, I told my buddy or my brother that I couldn't see out of it. And he said, I took it to the big box store and this is what they did to it. I was like, oof.
We talked about this a couple weeks ago, but the electrical tape on the limbs to hide the cracks.
Yeah, that was
like, it's cracked. Let's just tape this son of a bitch up. TJ, he said, we got a hell of a problem.
Well, when it first come in, who was it? There's a crossbow company that actually made a crossbow. Barnett with the rubber-coated limbs.
A couple of theirs. And I almost wondered, did they do that just to kind of hide some stuff if it happened?
And so I got to looking, and I'm like, okay, this boat, there was two of them come in. And we're not dealers or warranty centers or anything for them. I was like, you're going to have to call, the manufacturer, and it's going to have to go through them. And they said, well, I've got another one in the car. Do you want me to go get it? I was
remember
like,
that.
yep.
Yeah.
I said, bring it in. Let me check it out. And, I mean, this is no joke. I bet you they used about 4 rolls of electrical tape, a roll for each limb.
At least 5.
And
it was wrapped.
So I got to cutting the tape off of it, and we had it in this Baker vise, and Stanley Cooper was in here that day.
He was.
And I started I took my pocket knife and was trying to just slightly work my way through the tape where I could get it to unravel. And the more I kind of started unwinding the tape, I just kept seeing little splinters popping up. And I told them, I said, y'all may want to back up, because this, I said, I'm not going any further. But, so I don't know what the electrical tape was, I don't know if they bought them used, new, or what, but.
This one gets me, and I see it. We get emails, we get calls, we get people come in. I see it all the time on Facebook. People say, my strings are pulled to the side. It's all out of whack. And I know for a new person, it may look that way. But your cables have got to be pulled over with a slide or a roller or something to get out of the way of the arrow.
Yep.
And it kills me. And then people say, I measured the right side of my bow and it was 34 1/8, and then the left side's 34 1/16. Well, it's going to be that way because them cables have got to be pulled over out of the way of that arrow. You know what I mean? And I argued with a guy one time. It made me so mad I put it in my phone, but God almighty. And
plus, especially on like your solo cams or your hybrid cams that have that yoke up there, one yoke is going to be shorter than the other one because you've got to account for the side pressure.
Yeah, so if you're looking at it facing away on a right-handed bow, the right yoke's going to have more twist in it because they're coming from the side, from that cable slide, and then we'll have people put in string orders and say, I need my left yoke 6 1/8 and my right yoke. No, that ain't how it works.
No.
You got to twist one more than the other. But that stuff kills me. And it's never just the average beginner. Then it's people want to argue with you. And it's like, well, hell, take the cable slide off and shoot it and see how that works because you ain't going to be able to shoot it. Anyway, this one was spring, but the guy said he needed to buy a bow because his stepson traded his bow for weed.
Oh, man.
Oh, Lord.
People talking about cutting their arrows with a pipe cutter.
I've heard that.
Guy wants to convert a compound bow to a recurve.
I had that one on my list.
If I shoot a 70-pound bow, what size whisker biscuit do I need? I shot a doe at 76 yards and my mechanical broadhead didn't open. I've got a small. I'm trying not. There's a couple on here that I know people listen to this thing, so I'm not going to say those particularly. But man, it's craziness.
Oh yeah.
What about old Heartline that time? He came in and had took a damn Dremel tool to his case and had his stabilizer, a hard case. He was toting it and like the stabilizer stuck up past the handle, and we were like, "What in the hell?" And he's like, "I didn't like taking my stabilizer off."
Yeah.
Oh man.
So he custom fit the bow case to the bow.
Yeah. We get all the time. It's just people that don't know any better, so I shouldn't really make fun, but they think if you shoot a 350 spine arrow, it'll make a damn if it's Black Eagle or Carbon Express or whatever. It's going to weigh the same. You know what I mean? and then they call it spline, and
yeah. Or they think that they'll come in and say, I'm shooting a 400 grain air, and you look at it and I'm like, no, this is a 400 spine.
Yeah.
And it's like,
and then I need to get 6 airs. All right, did you bring one with you, or you know what length they are? I shoot a 29-inch draw.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we can guess, but we ain't,
yeah.
we ain't gonna get them
Be
right.
the same as what you would shoot.
Oh man, this is crazy. It is just crazy.
Yeah. But you know, most of your air companies are within what?
Well, it's a hard one because
0.5 of a grain. Because I know the Victories and the Outlaw 350s are 1/10 of a grain or 2/10 of a grain in difference.
But if you get to like
Now,
a
if you-
carnivore, then it's super light.
Yeah.
And if you get to a whatever, you know what I mean? Like the yellow arrows, they're way heavier.
I'm just saying a standard.
Yeah.
You know, just standard.
Well, Griffin messaged me a while ago and was like, or just last night, I ran out of my normal arrows, but I got some of the same ones and the same spline. And I was like, that don't mean they're going to weigh the same. I said, 20 yards, you may be okay, but he said, I ain't going to shoot past 20. And then he sent me shot over a doe this morning. And it's like, you can't just take something in the woods and have never shot it.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's a new sight or bow or arrows or whatever.
What kills me is you'll see somebody with a quiver with 4 different arrows,
Yep.
different broadheads, and you can't expect to shoot consistently.
And people don't understand it.
Yeah.
I try to always not be the cocky ass whatever that's been doing it for 30 years, but like, it's just like this arrow is this big, this arrow is this big, and they weigh 200 grains apart. What would make you think they're going to hit the same spot?
Yep.
One's got a 75 grain tip, one's got a 125.
One's 2 inches longer.
Yeah, I bought these at Walmart and these at Academy, and I bought these from y'all 3 years ago, but hell, they hit pretty close. Pulled it out of the closet last week. Me and Billy Jean's going to shoot us up a big doe in the morning. Like, motherfucker.
And it's also, which we did not get this as much this year as we normally do, but it's always the person that pulls their bow out like 2 hours before we close the shop down.
I sold the used bow to the guy the other night that wanted to go hunting the next morning. Never shot before. But he was pretty, like...
Well, he hadn't shot in a while.
He was better than other ones we've had.
Yeah.
Like he was paper plate at 20 roughly. We've had people that couldn't hit nothing.
And
We got one guy that comes in here, and this son of a bitch, when he opens his case, the aroma of weed is so strong. I'm not kidding. Our eyes will be over here watering. And then
yeah.
I'm like, TJ, are you high? And he's like, hell yeah. But you wouldn't believe some of the stuff we see.
Oh man, it's crazy. And you know, the biggest, which we did not see it but one time this year.
Is that a new shirt?
Yeah.
Damn. That
Yeah.
looks pretty good. That's a Mountain Op shirt.
Yeah.
Hell, me and Bobby's got the same shirt on.
Yeah, we do.
I have been here all day and have not noticed that shirt.
But just leave their broadheads in the case, floating around or on the air, rattling.
Waiting for an explosion.
I cringe every time that I see that.
There was a guy that come in here probably 2 weeks ago, had all different arrows, and I didn't know what he was exactly wanting to do because he's talking about maybe buying a new bow, had an old PSC about 20 years old, and I was like, you know, it's shootable. What do you want to do? So finally, he didn't really give me a good answer, so I just kind of was like, let's tie you peep in and send you on. And when he went to close his case, arrows are just like, jing, 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 all with broadheads. I was like, buddy, you might want to put them up or take your broadheads off. It'll be fine. And I knew when he picked that thing up, I was going to hear boom, but it didn't. But it is a miracle.
Yeah. I cringe every time. So if for some reason, if somebody, drops a bow off in a case and I open it up and see, I'm like, I cringe every single time.
What I hate as an archery shop person the most, and we've done better at this, but I'm just as bad or worse than anybody. Somebody will drop a bow off. Sometimes it's in the case, whatever. And then when we get to where we're going to work on it, and let's say it's got a cracked limb or this or that wrong with it that we didn't know about. And then you call them and say, hey, we went to restring it. You got a cracked limb. It wouldn't crack before I dropped it off. And it's like, motherfucker, we just opened this case up.
Yeah.
I guarantee you we didn't do anything to it. I hate being in that position, but I made us a fancy little
worksheet
work
order
thing to where we kind of look at stuff now and try to at least
catch it.
Especially crossbows. We
all were
taking in crossbows and then it ended up having a cracked limb, and then we got that one
Right above your head,
hanging
right there.
above us. It's got a swastika on it that they said a rat chewed up and killed a dog or whatever. I don't know, but we called them back. They were sketchy to begin with.
But they give you your bow and you start checking it out. What's wrong with my bow?
Yeah.
And they get on the defensive just because.
What are you looking at?
Yeah, oh Lord, man.
We got to tell that story. This guy come in last year. Thank God he didn't come in this year.
Oh man.
And he's got an older Matthews. Buys high-end accessories for it, and we're kind of like, okay, whatever. TJ's just looking the bow over to make sure it ain't got a cracked limb because this guy ain't shot it in forever. And we call this guy Bug Eyes because this son of a bitch looks like this. I don't know if he's got a thyroid problem or what.
Yeah, man.
He's
Ooh.
staring TJ down.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, damn, is he wanting to fuck him because of the beard or what, And he's like, what are you looking at? Hey, what are you looking at? And TJ's just like, what the fuck? And I'm just like, what do I do right now?
I'm like, well, dude, I said, I'm just checking your bow over to make sure there's no, no kind of cracks in the limbs, no dings in the camera.
TJ's saying it just like he is now, and the guy cuts him off and is like, what's wrong with it? Is something wrong with it? Is something wrong with my bow? Is it okay? It's a Matthews. Is it okay? And we're just like, what in the hell is this guy on? And anyway, it was funny. We got a couple people like this, and it's hard for me to understand them. I won't name any names, but they've got older bows. I mean, like 15-year-old bows, but then they're putting $400 sights and $200 rests, and like it's probably time to go ahead and upgrade the old bow. Mm-hmm. But this guy was one of them, and I guarantee you, he got a Spot Hog Fast Eddie, wasn't it?
I think so.
And did Partain sight him in? Maybe he did.
I think he did.
Okay, I was about to say, I bet the bow never even got sighted in. That was a year ago.
Yeah.
But
wow.
I mean, it was one of the most awkward, probably top 2 or 3 awkward situations I've ever been in the middle of.
Yeah, I mean,
and I was just like, what do I do or say? And TJ's just like, man, I'm just checking it out, making sure it's okay. What are you looking at? Or is it okay? Why are you looking at my bow like that? Something's wrong with it. I know something's wrong with it. TJ's like, we were just like, what in the hell do we do right now?
I mean, and
you gotta love it.
Oh man,
if we could record some of this stuff, y'all would shit.
That's no joke.
And it's one of them, I'm sitting there thinking like, okay, I'm sitting here thinking, dude, your bow's fine. I'm just checking it over and making sure there's nothing wrong with it. I'm like, okay, do I hand him his bow back? And he keeps inching towards the counter towards me.
He is staring TJ down.
Yeah. And
it's early part of TJ's big old beard. I'm thinking, this is awkward as hell. Like, is he admiring his beard? Is he jealous of his beard?
I don't know.
Is he just, I don't know either. And then
I've never felt, and you could ask archery shops around the world, your local. I mean, there's people that come in that, literally, you just want to just say, man, we're not dealing with you. There's the door, go somewhere else.
Sometimes the phone rings or people come in and we're like, fuck.
Yeah. It's just one of them. I didn't know whether to just get up and come back here and go back to work, or just to stand up there and let him keep inching closer and just, hit him with a right hook or something like that.
It was.
It was just awkward and weird. And I know after he left, me and you was talking, he was like, what in the world were we supposed to do in this situation?
We spent like 4 hours after that just kind of like sitting and looking at the wall. Like, it screwed with us that much. It was so like.
Oh, it was.
We're telling it like it's funny, but to be in the moment, it was just like, what is this guy? What's going on here?
We didn't know what in the world to do.
But let's jump to another story, not related to this year, but we got to tell y'all about Bobby shooting himself in the leg. Bobby has been shot in the leg by himself, coming down from a tree stand.
I fell from the tree stand climbing down because I didn't use my safety rope and lowered my bow. I was hopping rung to rung. I fell, and the jar of the fall, my handgun went off, and I got shot with a .357.
Ooh.
We could have a whole podcast on the life and times of Bobby Looney.
Yeah.
Let me back it up further. When I met Bobby Looney...
No, we don't go there.
I'm going to talk about your ride. Bobby had a wood-paneled station wagon back in about 2000-ish, I guess it was.
It was.
With a surfboard on top. We're 5 hours from the ocean. And it said, I've got a Woody right on the back.
I got a big Woody. Because I had a big Woody surf wagon.
Was that before or after you pierced your penis? I know I wasn't supposed to go there. You got shot. You shot yourself in the leg.
Oh.
Then he pulled out and got hit on a motorcycle. Going how fast?
I T-boned the car doing 60 plus on a motorcycle.
60. I heard rumor that it was more like 100. But anyway,
It broke my back in 10 places. It broke my leg in 4 places. I flew 40 foot, no helmet, hit my head, bounced down the road, never lost consciousness, felt it all.
Ugh.
when we sometimes turn on the microwave here, Bobby passes out and pees on himself. I'm kidding.
It's just side effects.
Motorcycle, shot yourself in the leg.
And then now my
Subaru down.
That's all.
I don't feel like it is.
We're
But
gonna
we'll
take
leave
a
it at
break.
that. Y'all just
Yeah.
needed a quick glimpse. Because I'm telling you, there's some good stories.
I'm
Back-
like a Timex. I take a licking and keep on ticking.
God almighty. You've been through it.
Yeah.
To be 26 years old, you looking good.
Thank you.
The crossbow people, like, here's a good one. Earlier, a guy brought in a raven, and the ravens are great, but people do not change their strings and cables like they should. They'll buy one brand new, not from us, which we are probably going to start stocking them, but they'll just shoot it till it blows up, and then they don't know why it blows up. But the guy earlier came in, two of the cables, it's like, don't shoot it till it falls apart.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I don't either.
Let's talk about, I think we're safe because I won't give the exact reference here, but this is another Bobby story. I ain't trying to throw shade on you. Bobby's working on a bow. It was real busy. Not today. This was all of a sudden, he comes through the door, very startled. And then I look and I'm very startled and the damn bow's locked up. He's like, I forgot the damn draw stop. And I was like, oh shit. That was funny. I mean, that's about all I got to talk about it, but it was funny.
Yeah, it's happened to the best of us.
It has. It's just some bows you got to have for those of you who don't know, you got to have a draw stop on it. It's like a limb stop. If you don't put it on there, it'll lock the cams at full draw. I've seen it happen at Kiwi Bowman to people.
Mm-hmm.
Here, we had a guy spray paint his damn cams with some Krylon. No kidding. They were thick and nasty. Then he tried to change modules, had a module like way offset, and something happened, and it locked up. And the limbs on this bow were so far back, we couldn't get it to press. So he was like, I don't know how much longer I can hold it. And TJ's like, the best advice I can give you is to throw that son of a bitch out the door because there ain't nothing else we can do. And we ended up putting that thing, we wheeled the bow press over to the draw board, had it about half draw. We took as much pressure as we could and had to cut the cables to basically get the bomb not to blow up. But, like, what in the hell? Who is going to spray paint? We had another guy home dip his bow, and he didn't take it apart. He just half-ass taped off some cams. I mean, it had dip on and the other guy that spray painted, it was the same way. He wanted his bow beige. Y'all remember this one. It was this year, wasn't it? Hell, he just sprayed the strings and cams and rattle canned it all.
Mm-hmm.
Who in the hell does that? I mean, if that's the look you're going for, but it just gets so much bullshit in the cams and places where it shouldn't be, and it's just like, oh my God. Man, I'm about to give an explicit warning. I've been letting them roll on this one on before.
Parental, what is it? Parental advisory.
Yeah, damn.
I'm trying to think.
What about recently on the derailment boat?
Which one?
Yeah.
The bear.
Oh God, man.
If you derail a bow,
let's tell them. I mean, most of them know what that means, but to derail a bow, what it used to mean, because there was less let off, people would pull it back and then like hold it out, being like, look at the let off, and it would. But now with high let off, it don't take as much. You can draw it back and have a weird grip and have it taut, and when you shoot, the string just dives off the string.
Yep.
And it happens a lot more than it used to because of this higher let off.
it does.
And we've had several people, they'll call and be like, I bought a bow and it's exploded. And it's like, we've sold 60 of these bows this year. It ain't going to just explode, buddy.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry. In their mind, maybe they think it did, but it didn't. You know what I mean? That's a very, So anyway, we had a guy that's done that. We've actually had, I can think of about 3 customers this year that's been in multiple times after they bought a new bow and they've derailed it. And it's like, I don't know of a nicer way to tell them than you're torquing it.
Yeah.
Like you're putting super duper pressure on it, whatever.
Well, and that's the big thing with like people now, I've never shot a bow before. It's hard to tell them, like, don't death grip this bow, because they're kind of hesitant or scared that they're going to drop their bow or drop the bow or whatnot. And
one thing I think has helped us in this shop, and it's not really by our whatever, but most people don't just grab a bow anymore and pull it back with their fingers.
Yeah.
We'll make sure they got a release on. And not only, I get all kind of shit for this in the comments on videos, but it's the releases we use. The trigger's welded. It's a, you cannot physically. Yeah, it's a safety release, and people are like, when we still most of the time put an arrow in it.
Yep.
But there's a couple times it may not have an arrow in it. Okay, and if it blows up, we fix it. But we've never had that happen with the safety release. But anyway, they've got a safety release on, and that way they can't pull it back with their fingers and twist the hell out of the string and make it derail. Used to not be that big of a deal with a longer bow and a little less let off, but now they're so short and so much let off. When you go to let down, you don't think about it, but your hand like twists in, and then it just. Believe it or not, the only dry fire that's happened in this shop was a lady that bought a bow, and luckily her bow was only on like
26 pounds or something like that.
It was a Stinger X about 5 years ago, and it didn't hurt it, but it scared the hell out of everybody in there. But we are very cautious. TJ did have that guy shoot the damn quiver off the wall last year. Yeah. We had somebody shoot through the door. Bobby shot through the door.
I shot through the door.
The door was open. He didn't know it, and he shot through the paper tuner. And we got a hell of a paper tune through the side of the door. But that was more of an accident. These other people were, one guy, when Jackie was helping us.
Well, that wasn't a kid. It was a kid, and it wasn't his fault.
Jackie was trying to get his form right, and Jackie's like, move your shoulder up, turn it left, right, hey, ho, ha. Bah! And the guy, you could see, he was like, oh, I can't hold it any longer. Boom. And through the back door. The back door. I mean, it's hard to get over there. And I was about to squall. Look, the kid's grandpa was with him, and he was laughing about as hard as you could laugh. And I was thinking, for the love of God.
Yeah,
but, anyway.
I mean, to be, I guess you could say bloopers, I would consider, there hasn't been many.
Shit. The damn daily.
Well, I'm talking about like shooting through the back wall or the back doors or anything like that.
That's true. I remember at Bucks and Bass behind the 20-yard targets. We could have about damn crawled through it at the end. Hell, there's a children's play set out behind there at the neighbor's house, and arrows are zooming past the damn kids. Mm-hmm. And one day a guy come in there and he said, I shot my arrow and I can't find it. And I said, do what? And he said, it went into the target, and I pulled the target out, and it ain't there. So I went back there and pulled it back, and there was a 2-foot hole in the back of I was like, God almighty. I went out there, and no shit. Luckily, it was like winter. I guess some kids wasn't out there much. I mean, it was a good ways behind the building, too, but there was arrows everywhere. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, shit. So, like, the next day, Dave went and bought some plywood. But luckily, we didn't got too many of those type of stories.
No.
We had a redneck sky drawing and blasted one, and it went like way through the woods, and there's a petting zoo there.
Yeah.
So could you imagine if he'd have killed a damn donkey or something? But anyway, some old people lived there back then. Them people come over here raising teetotal hell, and I was like, for one, you can't prove it came from here because there is a bunch of neighbors down that way that shoot. So I knew it came from here, but I was just trying to let them know, hey, you can't prove shit.
Yeah.
But they were raising teetotal hell because the arrow ended up in their backyard.
We're talking about stories. Mikey Johnson.
God almighty. Mikey Johnson.
The first time I met Mikey was that when we had that. What was it? The first annual Archeryshack Classic.
2015 or 15, I think.
15, because Vanessa was 8 months pregnant.
Yep.
And Mikey was with me and Vanessa, and I think Bubba shot with us.
Yep.
And I never will forget it as long as I live. We was standing out here getting ready to shoot the first target, and Mikey went to draw, and evidently he was so nervous
He was a nervous fella that day.
I don't know, but he hammered on that trigger, and I just remember watching. I seen vanes for about 30 yards, and that air just kept climbing and climbing and climbing. And I was like, "Uh-oh, that's definitely going to the neighbor's house."
And like everybody out here, we had a big line of shooters. They all just immediately turned, and that tree said, and she was gone, son.
Yeah. I miss that fella.
So Mikey, he's been on a podcast before. He was a big fella.
Mm-hmm.
Only 31.
I think so.
Last Halloween, woke up one morning, and we've talked about him on here before, so y'all may, and y'all have probably seen him if you've been in the shop a couple years back, but basically got a blood clot in his leg, traveled and gave him a heart attack, and he died. So that was a big mess. We still talk about him all the time, but I was wanting to find his bow. I don't know where it ended up at, and offer them some money for it, and basically hang it up on the sidewall as like a Mikey Johnson memorial type thing. But I don't know where his bow ended up.
I don't either.
But yeah, we've had some stories of Mikey Johnson.
Oh man!
One time, the bow press was sitting about right over here. Mikey he worked out here that day. Ran home to take a shower. We were going to shoot the state indoor at Kiwi. Came back and a bow. I was helping a guy. Joey was here. He snatched back an elite bow that didn't have the stops on it, and I heard him say, "Good God, it's let off." And I was like, "Oh shit!" And this bow was brand new out of the box. I was like, "Fuck." So he said, "What do I do? What do I do?" We ended up having to get him up on a stool, and get it in the press, and we was trying to press it and all this. Well, in the middle of all this happening, Mikey walks back in and just do. He sticks his head in, and we were like, "Mikey, come help quick," because we was trying to line it up in the bow press. And Mikey was a paramedic, and afterwards, he went from like Mikey bouncing in to like soaking wet, sweating in 2 seconds. He said, "I'm a paramedic, and I've never experienced such a situation, a traumatic situation as that." And I was like, "Mikey."
Oh man.
Anyway, we still think about the old fella.
Oh yeah. Stanley sent me a picture of his headstone the other day. I guess I know Stanley told me where he deer hunts at. When he gets
right
to
beside it,
he can see his gravesite.
What else has happened this year?
Oh.
Had a guy buy an inline and basically go home and dry fire it, warp the hell out of the cams. What kills me, though, is people do that, and then they call back like the bow did it. And it's like, no. That's how this went down. Granted, we got him some cams, and like he spent a lot of money, and I would have out of pocket paid for that to get fixed.
Mm-hmm.
But Prime covered it. But like, I don't know. I feel like people don't have enough respect or whatever the word is of how powerful a crossbow or bow is.
Yep.
And if
there's so much pressure.
If somebody ever had one fly apart on them, they'd understand. It will beat the shit out of you.
Yeah.
You got a bow press, and we're putting a lot of tension just to crank this thing down and knowing them limbs. And some bows are worse than others, but them limbs are under super duper duper. One time, and this was years ago, so it's probably worse now, I rigged up a little way to check because I was just curious about like what kind of tension was on a cable, at full draw. And I came up with somewhere around, I think that particular bow was like 210 or 20 pounds. But, it's pulling them fiberglass limbs together however many inches. So we're talking about hundreds of pounds under all this tension of a fiber. And then multiple things can go wrong if you ain't careful. So I don't know. Maybe we need to have if you're going to buy a bow, you're going to have to sit through our 45-minute video training with John Partain for safety. We're going to put you a helmet on or something. I don't know.
And
PPE.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is the bow manufacturers now, if we send something in, it goes to their engineer techs and everything, and they can, just by looking at cams, since they are designing, they can tell us just from a picture, hey, this bow's dry fired.
Well, they probably see 100 pictures a day or a week or whatever, and they're like, yeah, it's on this, But if let's say, for instance, I've never heard of this. They get a bad batch of metal.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, 50 dealers say, hey, we had a bow on the shelf and that just something warped or whatever. All right, we've had 10 people call. There's something to this. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they can put it together, but nah, if it's
a random bow or
yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to knock Bowtech, but look at the years where they had the limb issues.
Yep.
What's his name had that one sitting out here. We were having to shoot.
God, that was a mess. Oh, Brock.
Yep.
He hung it up out there on the hanger.
Yep.
And I bet you there was 30 people.
Oh, every bit.
Real loud, tick, and just hanging on the hanger. He hadn't even shot the bow that day yet. The limb exploded or delaminated, and I run it in here and took it apart real quick. But it's like he bought it in North Carolina the week before.
Getting ready to go on an elk hunt or something?
Had like 50 shots, 100 shots on it, and just hung it up out there. And
yeah.
It was crazy.
And we was talking a while ago about the derailing. When people draw back a bow like you was talking about, just grab it without a release and grab it with your hands. It's so easy to derail it, especially a Bowtech, because the cam tracks are so
thin,
narrow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. There's definitely certain, and even like bows that get dry fired, some of them can take a beating more than others from what I've seen. Like when Prime had the double track cams, they were going to collapse. You know what I mean?
Well, they were designed to.
Bullshit.
That's what they said.
I think that it did that, and afterwards they were like, "This will sound cool."
Yeah.
We designed them to collapse so it wouldn't hurt the limbs. Bullshit. But whatever they say. I will say the Matthews. I've had a bunch of people bring in a newer Matthews, and they've said it's been dry fired, and I didn't really see no problem with it. I think beefing up axles help, the bigger axles.
Isn't Matthews like a little bit thicker cam?
It feels beefier.
Yeah.
That I know of 2 primes that's been dry fired or almost half dry fired from customers, and they were okay. But like that one guy that just let her eat, it warped the hell out of the cam. So I don't know about the Bowtech's thin. I've seen PSE can go either way, but the newer PSEs is pretty thin. Bear, oh God,
that'll scare you.
Bear, some of theirs I've seen be okay. Some of them I hadn't.
I just think that, I know everybody's trying to shave weight, make a lighter bow and everything, but I would want a little bit beefier cam. I wouldn't want to sacrifice a little bit beefier cam for a thinner cam just to have a little bit less weight. Because most average hunting bows coming in, 4.3, 4.4 pounds bare naked?
Yep.
I feel like that's one thing Matthews has got figured out. Their bows they were one of the first to be a little bit heavier.
Yeah.
But if you think about, let's say, shooting a handgun, you shoot a little titanium, whatever, it's going to blow the hell out of you. But you shoot a good heavy one, and it's not as bad.
Yep.
Same thing with a bow. You get a weight, a little bit heavier bow, and it's not going to jump around as much.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
I mean, it's just, I wish we could really tell some of the stories because y'all just wouldn't believe.
Y'all wouldn't believe how many people come in here that has found us on here.
Yeah.
Local. Like when we started this, it was like nobody around here. It never crossed my mind that people around here would be coming in, but it's like, hell, 20% of the people, I found you on YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
And we have a lot of people that come in from lower part of the state, 4 or 5 hour drives.
Yeah, hell of a drive.
Because they found us on YouTube.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is.
But anyway, some of the stories we know people watch.
Yeah.
And we don't want to piss everybody off. It's one of them deals. But there's a few doozies. The one time, just thinking of random stories, a guy come in and had TJ will know exactly what I'm talking about. He was sponsored by every company you could think of or was trying to be, and some peep sight company had sent him a few peep sights, and he was like, "Oh, you can see better out of the no lens was in it, but it's this color and that color, and you can see better and do all this shit." Well, I set his peep, and I was like, "Don't shoot it. Let me tie it in." Nah, these got a deep track in them, and he fired that son of a bitch off, and that peep sight hit that metal roof in there, bing bong, bong 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 bong, and I was like, "You dumb son of a bitch." But the field staff people is another story. I can't stand it.
Now there is a few that are
truly represent and do what they need to do, but most
are just wanting a
discount code. Yeah. I don't get it.
I mean,
I don't get it.
I don't either.
And I don't get. Well, we know there's certain bullshit companies. It sounds like you could just email them and say, "Hey, I'm Bobby Looney. I fell off my motorcycle. I'm gonna need your discount code. Here you go. Here's 30% off, sir."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, damn.
But I have seen here lately, there's not a whole lot of companies doing like.
Well, some people's learned. I mean, we tried field staff shit for years, and nobody would ever do what. First of all, the problem was we put in the, if you want to call it the contract, like, you basically going to be at the back of the list. You know what I mean? You're getting a hell of a discount, but if we got a shit ton of orders, we're not going to prioritize you, no offense, but because you're getting a deal and all this stuff, you know, so just know that up front. But they'd order 2 days later, why ain't it shipped? Where's it at? And it's like, all right. And then, like, as far as them promoting us and doing this, that, and other online, you never seen anybody. They wanted free shit. We even had one guy ordering it and then reselling it to make money. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
So we just we got a few people that we've kept that we know that do good, but what a crock.
And you know, we even, when I took it over, we give everybody a discount code a promotion code that they were supposed to give that person.
So we could track.
Had
like one person or something.
One person
come. It's like, come on now.
Yeah. And it's just, you know, and it's like this one bad apple screws it for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like this year. You know, we tried to, you know, if somebody was out of state or, you know, a few hours drive from us, we would try to accommodate, you know, hey, we'll put you on the list. We'll call you when it gets done. And, you know, certain situations we will, you know, we can do it. But this year it was just nothing. Okay, we're going to call you when it's ready. We're going to set up a time.
It's a pain in the butt. And you hate to not be able to do that. But it's like, then they call the day of and you got it planned out around the whole busy season schedule for these people to be here at this time. Well, I can't come today or I'm going to be 2 hours late. And it's like, well, hell, you're just going to have to wait then. You know what I mean? Or we need you to be here at 4 and they show up 4 hours early and it's like we in the middle of 27 other things or so-and-so ain't here, whatever, you know. And it is a pain in the ass some days. Like if one person's here, it's very limited on what, you know what I mean? Because one person's here and you get 2 or 3 or 4 people coming in. Yeah, we can put in peeps and do simple stuff, but we're not necessarily going to spend an hour trying to get something ready while we make these people wait.
Yeah.
And people don't understand that, I guess, but
yeah.
I don't know.
So I think probably going forward, it's just going to be, you're just going to have to bring it to us and leave it that way.
Yeah, unless it's something simple.
Yeah.
You know, your basic stuff. But as far as a complete
restring
and I guess we were talking about this earlier too. I don't mind people, I mean, because I obviously put it on YouTube sometimes, people watching stuff being done, but like when it's busy back here and there's shit that people can get hurt with and it's just a pain in the ass. People, can I come back there? Well, now you're in the way of like 6 people all trying to work on bows or help people or whatever, and it's just, it don't work. So I think we're going to go to a nobody comes back here, and if that's a problem, sorry, go to the box store deal. But I mean, I'm not trying to be an asshole about it. It's just people get in the way. And one time we had somebody bring a bunch of them kids back here, and there's so much stuff, saws and sharp stuff from bowstrings,
blades,
machines twisting. Like there's a million things that could go wrong. You know, and the insurance company and their thing already says if something happens and somebody's back there, you're fucked. You know what I mean? Like we got employee only signs, but we, you know, technically like we ain't supposed to let nobody back here. And but anyway, that's just something else. No big deal, but
yeah, I mean, and it's just with as much moving parts that's back here. I mean, there's lighters laying at every bow press, every station.
Razors, lighters, 3 or 4 aerosols, you know.
It wouldn't take much for
string machines. Yeah, everywhere. This place is a mess right now. String machines twisting that you could. I've got my shirt caught in it before, and it scared the hell out of me. You know what I mean?
Scared the hell out of me when I got mine caught in it last week.
It might have been Brookie when he was helping, or somebody got their damn beard caught in it one time.
Yeah,
like it could be bad.
Well, and then you got the air stretchers over on the wall. If one of the, you know, if one of them slips.
Yeah, I mean, there's just too much stuff going on. But anyway, that used to be a big pet peeve of mine, was like, get the hell out from behind my counter, because you wouldn't go anywhere else and do that.
Mm-hmm.
But then I got kind of relaxed about it. But then when we had a kid situation the other week, I mean, there was like 4 damn little kids back here, and I'm like, get these sons of bitches out from back here. No, I love kids, but like, this is not the place for this. And we was also talking about earlier our shop defense weapons, aka guns. You know, what if a kid gets over there to that at the cash register, and then God knows what bad could happen. So anyway, we'll just stop that. But man, what a year.
Yeah, busy season still ain't over with.
Yeah, usually it's like mid-October till it really kind of mellows way out.
Yeah.
But I can't really think of a good... was y'all in here when... God, who brought it in? Somebody brought their buddy's bow in, and the son of a bitch had been burnt.
I was here.
I mean, it was a Hoyt. It was burnt. Shit, the riser was warped. I was like, this is the best I can get it the way it is.
I remember that bow.
Anyway.
Because
I think Ethan brought it in.
Yeah.
And I was like, God almighty.
Because I know the first time he brought it in, I worked on it. And I'm like, something ain't quite right on here. And I got taught, I said, Ethan, has this thing been in extreme heat? He's like, I don't know. I know his house or his barn caught on fire here a while back. And I'm like, And then I think you had come in whenever I was working on it. And I said, Jeremy, take a look at this. And you was like, yeah, it's been exposed to some extreme heat. And then when he brought it back in this year, you could definitely tell that it was
some weird stuff going on. I'm just trying to think of another cool story to tell them before we get off here. We said the quiver got shot last year. That was a crazy one. I need to start I can't remember anything anymore.
I can't either.
I need to start writing stuff down better. There's some good homemade stories. I just can't think of a good example right off the cuff. The guy that wanted to make a compound into a recurve, he was going to take a damn road sign or something. Wasn't that the story?
No, that guy, he had made a recurve out of the fiberglass poles that are on like the road construction signs. Let's see, I didn't make a note of it. He wanted to take a old black bear compound and turn it into a recurve. And he made the limbs he had made limbs out of the fiberglass road sign poles for a recurve.
God almighty. That black bear, that was like, it might have been the first. It was one of the first bows in a 97. I bought one at a pawn shop. And in 97, it was still an older bow, but wasn't that old of a bow. I restrung it, made that thing, put sights on it and all that. It was like the first bow I sold when I started selling archery stuff, a black bear.
I mean, as long as your limb pocket, because, I mean, basically it wasn't nothing but riser.
Yeah.
I mean, if the limbs would have fit down in the limb pocket and been fine, I don't see why he couldn't do it. I mean,
just some of the stuff people come up with.
But if I remember right, that black bear riser was about that long.
People think, I just thought of another one, a guy, this was a year or two ago, but he thought he could go buy those wood dowels from Lowe's and shoot them as arrows.
Yep.
And I was like, no. I've never tried to shoot a wood arrow out of a compound, but I've heard that they'll just explode like into a million splinters. But if you have, let us know, because I'd be curious to hear about it. You know, I hadn't heard of a good bow breaking in half in a long time. I know back in the day, the magnesium risers were bad about
snapping.
Yeah, like the grip, you know.
I hadn't either.
I had an arrow snap on me. Second shot I took out of a new bow, arrow blew up, had to pick pieces of carbon out of my arm. That was a scary feeling. I
don't think we've had that happen here, have we?
No.
I did have an arrow blow up one of them dumbass deer crossing whatever arrows that when they were being all posted everywhere. A guy brought one in and was wanting to shoot it through the paper, and first shot, boom, and I was like, God almighty, it scared me and him to death. But he ended up, I was like, I'd shit can those. And he bought whatever, but I was like, I'm done with that. And then we seen those same deer crossing fat arrows at that state shoot, field shooting. And now you'd think at like 60 or 80 yards, them things would have lost enough energy, but they were hitting the damn target and snapping off. And the guy next to him loaned him some gold tips to finish the shoot with. And I was like, he even told him, he's like, I'd take them things. If you got any left, go put them in that trash can over there.
Yeah. And I mean, he was happy as he could be to be there and shooting, but I guarantee you he had, 2.5 dozen arrows in this thing.
And blew most of them up. Hitting the target.
Yeah. And these ain't hard foam targets. It's just a bail.
Yeah, it was something wild. Anyway, it's been a good therapy session. Maybe we just need to do this every week. Be like, this motherfucker's coming today.
And then that same state shoot was, we shot the 3D, and Jeremy forgot to, what was it?
Oh, man, I felt like such a dumbass.
He forgot.
So what I'd done is on one side of my slide bar, I had it set up for fat arrows for 3D. On the other side, I had it set up for skinny arrows because they both bullet hold. I set it up for the fat arrow, but the skinny still bullet hold out of the bow. So I was like, hell, I'll shoot the skinnies at the field shoot and then just flip to the fat. But the day before we left, I just did not feel comfortable where my peep sight was at because I was having to move, shoot out to whatever it was, 60 or 80 yards. So I moved my peep. And I resighted the skinny arrows, but did not resight the fat arrows, and thought nothing about it because it was the last day before, in a hurry, whatever.
We was the first two to target one.
There's a group waiting for all their group members to get there, and it's one of them little stegosauruses or whatever dinosaurs. And I walk up, I'm thinking I'm gonna smoke this motherfucker. I drew back. I mean, it wasn't but like 18 yards or something, TJ looks at me like, what the fuck? And I thought, son of a bitch. Well, I pretty much knew what happened as soon as that summit started rolling down through there. So I was like, I was so embarrassed. I'm like, yeah, the girl, there's a girl there. She's like, did you set your sight? I'm like, yeah.
I just remember I had to run back to the car.
TJ, will you please run back to the car and get them skinny arrows so I can. And anyway, we proceeded, but I felt about that tall. TJ's going back to the car. I'm thinking, please hurry. I'm over like, yeah, the muffler bearing came out of whack out of sync, and the moon phase. We got a king tide coming in, and stuck that son of a bitch down. But anyway, they're just looking like, what the hell just happened? Because it wasn't like I just barely missed. It was like 8 yards in front of the target. I was like, shit.
I just remember seeing like 4 pieces of air start scattering like a shotgun through the. Oh man.
It was something. All them people there watching, their whole group had done gathered by then. And I'm like, yeah. But anyway, we'll get off here.
Oh man.
We'll see what we can come up with for next week. This is just a whatever. But thank y'all for listening. Sorry I cussed so much. I probably need to quit that. But when y'all let us know, I think we need to have Bobby on here more often.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all tell him down there. Yeah, we can tell more stories. We can talk about why it sounds metallic when he walks. But
I think you already did that earlier.
Anyway, I'm sorry, Bobby. I was just trying to help. If I ever get knocked out and y'all see footage from TJ, you'll know it was me messing with Bobby. Just know that, and I'll just be like, I deserve the shit out of that. But anyway, thank y'all for watching.
Yeah.
We'll see y'all next week.
Everybody,
be safe hunting.
Yeah. Wear your safety harness.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
You got to remember, if you got a family or family friends, you want to come back to them. So wear a safety harness.
That's Dalton Walls fell. Y'all seen this if you watched that last shot video the other week? But that somebody fell out of a tree stand 22 feet without a safety harness and only basically hurt the side of his hand.
Mm-hmm.
He's lucky, man.
Yeah, lucky.
But yeah, wear your safety harness.
Yep.
For the love of God. See y'all.
See ya.